Welcome to another away fan show. This week it's going to be the West Ham preview pretty much. We've got a guest from the West Ham network coming on. But get your comments in, get your views in, and we'll catch you straight after the intro. Too much. I don't know what was happening there. We will invite our guest in here now. Anton from the West Ham network. How are you doing, mate?
I'm very good. Thank you very much, mate. Thanks for having me on.
So I'll obviously go for a few stats from this season. I'll start off with, and then you can kind of tell me what your look is going into the season. So we've seen that you're in 15th place at the moment. You've got 8 losses, 4 wins, 2 draws. You've only scored 12 goals this season, and you've conceded 15. But we are both on the same points as we are on the table going into this weekend's match. What is your kind of take on this season so far for West Ham?
It's been a mixed bundle of emotions, to be honest. It's, for the first time in a long time, West Ham invested in the squad over the summer, and we invested well in quality over quantity, although the quantity was there. And it's to bring in a whole host of players and expect them to get a result overnight is a ridiculous thing to expect. Not many clubs in the world ever, anywhere, could do that. And so the West Ham fans, probably before your recent success as Leicester fans, have probably had the same mindset as in, when some success comes your way, you kind of then have an expectation, and the expectation is what hurts you more and more and more when, say, something doesn't go as well as you want. But if you sign a lot of players, you're going to have to expect a time to transition. And we're currently in the process of transition. And now I've seen glimpses of a very decent West Ham side, but I've also saw glimpses of something that we've not saw for a while in 2.5 years. We've had the most consecutive positive style of football for the last 2 years in my lifetime as a West Ham fan. So I'm more of the patient side of things. We've got really good players. We've been very unlucky in games. I'll go back to the Chelsea game. We had a goal chopped off. It was probably, quite possibly still is, one of the worst VAR decisions I've ever saw in my lifetime. We were actually lucky not to walk away with 3 points, let alone a point in that game. But if I take a point there, we were very unlucky not to walk away with a point against Liverpool. We were lucky to walk away with a point against Liverpool. And we were unlucky not to walk away with a point against Manchester United. And there was maybe one other game we were lucky not to walk away, the 3 points against Spurs. And if you add those points up, that's 5 or 6 further points. Now, I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but if we had got that, mate, things would be very, very different. Up until the last game we played, we were creating the most amount of chances in a game that I've saw West Ham do, but we just weren't putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think it's just a matter of time before that clicks.
I was just looking at the position you finished last season, 6th place, and people were thinking that maybe you could be the ones to challenge even higher this season. As of now, it's not the greatest of starts. Exactly like us. Obviously, we lost 7 or 8 games at the start of the season, and we have slowly started turning it around, and we're now kind of pretty much in the same position as you in the table. But like you say, you brought so many new players in. How can you kind of expect to have the same output this season as it was last season? But going into kind of injuries based and whatnot, I've seen that apparently Cornet's out. I don't know if he's going to be back fit for this weekend, but that he looks like your only injury going into this game.
Yeah, we've been really up and down season, really, with injuries, which has been really unfortunate. We brought in our probably star signing in Naif Aguerd, which is the defender we signed from Rennes, Morocco international. And I'm not even remotely joking here. Like, he is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal player. But I was at the preseason game where he got injured against Rangers, and it really catapulted us backwards because we were then having to start the season with the same defense as last year, which was above average, okay, but Aguerd would have taken us to solidifying that defense and making it a strong defense. But what's good about him is he's a progressive player. So he plays from the back, but he plays forward. And he is very good at making those connections. So he is on the way back. He's played a couple of Europa Conference League games. And the rumor is that he's ready to go in the Premier League, and Moyes is just holding back. So I've got a suspicion that he won't. We're playing Blackburn later on tonight in the League Cup, and if you go by what Moyes said a couple of weeks ago, Aguerd would be playing tonight. I don't think he'll play tonight because I think he'll play against Leicester. If he plays against Leicester, then we're starting with borderline our starting back line, which is going to be the first time this season that we'll get to see that, which is a positive step for us. In terms of Max Cornet, he's been heavily involved. Every time he's played at the start of the season, he was heavily involved in all of our goals or opportunities. He is one of those players that just absolutely connects the midfield to the striker, and he constantly thinks forward. But he's picked up a really weird injury. It's like a calf strain that seems to have kept him out week after week after week. But he is in training. He's doing a bit of grass work, and he's close. So it'll be interesting to see what happens from the Moyes press conference. I don't think he'll feature tonight. And if he is available for Leicester, it would only be as a substitute. But we've got Paqueta back. Phenomenal footballer. Like, absolutely phenomenal. Ball sticks to his feet. Really creative, really clever. Skamaka, he's had a bit of up down, but that's also due to the fact that he didn't start the season because Moyes likes to bed the players in. And then when he did get a start, he then picked up a virus and then had to stop playing for a while. And then he was back in the team and then he found form. But he's got 5 or 6 goals for us this season. And we've got players that just haven't hit form yet, but they're showing glimpses. That's the key element. The fan base is split. Fans are going, this is crap. I'm going, yes, it is crap. There's a but. And the but is, I can see glimpses. So I think hopefully we'll be okay.
And then before we actually can move into the weekend's fixture, what is your question? Oh, sorry, the question I want to ask you is, what is your kind of expectation now for West Ham going into the rest of the season after the World Cup? And what would be a good season for you from at this point going on?
From this point going on, I am, listen, it's not been a great start, but with the signs that I've saw for us, I'm still pushing for, I'm pushing for top 10 and a win in a cup. Like, we desperately need a cup under our belt. And you guys were the same, and look how many cups you've had recently in recent years. So we desperately need a cup under our belt. We're unbeaten in the Europa Conference League, albeit it's the third tier, but we still are unbeaten. We've actually played 8 games in that tournament and won all 8 games from the playoffs all the way through to the group stages. So that's looking quite good. A couple of big teams dropped down from the Europa League. So we've got Lazio's, Fiorentina's all kicking about in there. In terms of the league, because we've qualified for the last 16 of the Europa Conference League, which of course Leicester were in last year, we now don't play our next game until March. So once the World Cup is completed, we fully focus on the Premier League, and that's actually really good for West Ham. And if we can get through the World Cup with all our players coming back fit and ready to go, with maybe a couple of little additions to the squad, I don't think we need a lot. I think we just need a couple of little edgy bits here, there, and everywhere. I think we can flick this current form. Our form is just up and down, up and down, up and down. We play really well one week, crap the next week, and that's not the consistency that David Moyes looks for. So I am feeling positive. I right now, if you said to me, what do I want a cup and top 10. I'll snap that off your hand right now.
I think you'd be probably on the same picture as us. I think we would be looking to try and get a cup in some way, to try and get into any sort of Europe. And then at this stage, I'd say top 10, but I always go back to the situation of Forest last season where they were, 7 games down last season at the start of the season without a win. and then they go and get in the playoffs and get promoted. So
Yeah.
anything's possible from a position we were in, and same with you. You could still hit top 7, top 6 if you really could, if you perform well. But going into the game this weekend, a few stats that I've found in the last 4 games. I don't know if it's just away, but 2 away games in the last 2 away games, we've lost both of them, and then we've lost 1 as well at home in the last 4. The only other one was a draw, so we've not actually beaten you away in the last 2 visits. So what is your kind of take for Leicester coming to you this weekend?
I take this game. I love looking at the stats, and we talk about it on our channel quite a lot. However, this particular game, I think you can just throw that all out the window, really, because it's been such a weird season, really, for both of our clubs. And do you know what? The similarities in terms of fan base split, in terms of what the manager sacked, has probably been similar with you guys as well. There's an element of, I like the fact that you've stuck by Brendan Rodgers. However, I'm not a Leicester fan, so if I was a Leicester fan, I might feel different. But I'm a big believer in sticking by your boss, 100%. I think it's good. And if he's done something before, he can do it again, I think, sometimes. So in terms of the game at the London Stadium, listen, it's the last game before the World Cup break. It makes it really important. It really makes it important for both teams. You are in an uptick form. You know, you're performing a bit better. You've got a little bit of consistency going on. You've got really good players, Tielemans, for example, who everyone rates. Obviously, we know all about Maddison. And equally, though, we've got the players there in our mix as well. I think the big thing for me, though, is within the first minute, I'll be able to tell as a West Ham fan how the game's going to go. We played Crystal Palace at the weekend, and within the first minute, we sat back. But we played Liverpool 2 weeks before, and we went at them. We did get beat, but we should not have got beat. It was we missed a penalty, and we had several chances on top of that. If we sit back in the first minute, Leicester have got a really good chance at London Stadium to beat us, because the crowd will get on our players' backs. But if we go from the off, albeit I know the London Stadium to away fans is a ridiculous stadium, but once we get that place rocking, it is extremely loud and it can get rocking. So it's going to be an interesting game, isn't it?
I've been there the last few times, and I remember the 4-1 loss, and it wasn't the greatest to witness when I was there. But yeah, obviously, is there any players you think is a big threat for obviously yourselves and us? Because obviously, with injury basis on ours, I don't think we've got too many players out. Obviously, a few fullbacks now. James Justin as well from last night. But attacking wise, we're pretty full with the attack coming forward.
I mentioned the 2 players, Maddison and Tielemans. Like, I think they're completely quality players. 2 players I'd love in the West Ham squad. No ifs or buts about it. Creativity, fight, determination, all that sort of stuff. I love those 2 players. I think they're 2 players we need to watch. What West Ham need to do to counter those 2 players is make sure our midfield is on fire. Obviously, I mean, listen, week in and week out, I'm not even underestimating him here. Declan Rice is out of this world. He's a phenomenal, he's world class, he's England captain material. He is next level footballer. And he is like churning out performances week in and week out. And even when we get beat, he's man of the match. It's ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it before. The problem we've got is who he's matched up with. If he's matched up with Tommy Soucek, he's had an underperforming season and probably an underperforming 6 or 7 months. And we've got another player in the midst called Flynn Downs, a young lad who actually topped all the stats in his position between all of the English leagues last year. So he played for Swansea in the Championship, and he was top of the mark between all of the leagues put together. He's young, but he's very good at holding the ball in a high position. He absolutely complements Declan Rice so much, and the fans are calling for him to start alongside Declan Rice. If Declan Rice starts with Flynn Downs, I would look at the team sheet and I would feel a lot more confident than I would if Soucek was there.
Yeah, okay, I totally agree with you. I don't think Soucek, obviously last season, I think he was a lot better player, and he always seemed to score at times when he kind of needed the goal. But going into our attack, Vardy, Daka, are any of them not a threat to you? Or
yeah, of course they are. I mean, listen, we all know about them, but I think in order for them to be pivotal. You need people to create for them, don't you? You know what Tielemans can do. You know what Maddison can do from distance. Of course, we need to watch Vardy. You know, he likes playing against West Ham, and Daka is a player that we were linked to alongside you. I think really the difference between Daka coming to you guys over us is your training complex is out of this world. And, you know, if you take, I'm not just saying this is the only reason, but if you take a player who's looking to come to the club and you take them to your training complex and then you take them to Chadwell Heath where West Ham are, it's a no-brainer. You're going to go Leicester because you've got multi-million-pound set up there. So, yeah, Daka, absolute threat. Vardy, absolute threat. The two I'm really concerned about more than anything is Tielemans and Maddison, though.
Totally agree with that as well. And then last of all, before we do finish off the show, we want a score prediction. I know it's like I say, it's up and down season for you, but do you think you can get a win at the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a positive West Ham fan. I'm a half-glass full West Ham fan. I see the positives. I also see the negatives, but I hone in on the positives and think, right, okay, I can see a thing there. The key for me for West Ham is Aguerd starts in defence. If he starts in defence, it changes the whole dynamics of the West Ham team. It absolutely changes the whole dynamics of the West Ham team. If Paqueta starts, which he will, he changes the whole dynamics of the West Ham team. And I think the core of Paqueta, Scamacca, Paqueta, Rice, and Aguerd, if Aguerd starts, is literally where West Ham fans want West Ham to be. Therefore, if that happens, I do think we'll win, but I don't think we'll win comfortably. I certainly don't think we'll win comfortably. I think we'll concede, but I think we're going to have to outscore. And we've not scored a lot, but we are creating chances. Apart from Crystal Palace, every game is 20 chances, 20 chances, 20 chances. And for me, it's just about time they click. And I think if they do click, we'll get 3, but I think we'll concede 2. 3-2 West Ham.
Because, like I say, the goals you've scored compared to ours is a lot lower. And to say that we've conceded so many recently, to come back with about 4 or 5 clean sheets now in the last 6 or 7 games, I don't know how we've done it. But where can we find you on your socials before we do let you go?
So West Ham Network on YouTube. Myself and Russ run the channel. Loads of ex-pros come on. That's the kind of key selling point for us. The unique selling point is we've got lots of the ex-pros, some of the celebrity West Ham fans come on the channel as well. And we're on all the other socials, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. We've just launched a new website as well. So that's all westhamnetwork.com. But yeah, just type in West Ham Network and you'll see all our stuff kicking about.
Thank you for joining, and we'll catch you later.
Yep, thank you very much, mate.
Another away fan show complete, and we'll be going live again for the Friday night show with me again to preview the West Ham game. Appreciate you all coming on, and we'll catch you all next time. See you in a bit.